This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everyone. So thank you for joining us today. This is Isaac Kramer, Executive Director of the Metuchen Downtown Alliance. Just for the sake of everyone on the call, please know it's being recorded so that we can share it afterwards, maybe with folks who didn't make it. And I am happy to introduce our council member, Jason Delia, who was part of a team of people, many who are on this call, in a very short period of time to put together the Metuchen Outdoor Dining and Retail Program. You can see on the screen right now our website where you can go to see more about the program, fill it out. But I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Great, thank you, Isaac. Thanks everyone for joining and for anyone watching this call afterwards. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So yeah, as Isaac mentioned, the borough has put together, along with the work of the MDA and the Chamber of Commerce, a plan to help the businesses, not only in downtown, but throughout the borough, sort of weather this storm here. So we worked very closely together. It's actually been really, really great working with everyone. Like Isaac said, this came together so quickly and so fast, and we're still working things out, but everything has been going more or less smoothly, and we're very hopeful that this is gonna, I said this in a call yesterday, the word thrive is not the right word. I mean, certainly, you know, we'd love for every business to be able to thrive as much as possible, but with the limited capacity, we're just doing our best to give you the best chance possible that you can to, you know, make some money. So, so a couple of slides I had on here, things are moving so quick, they're even out of date now. So these slides I had in here originally dated determines dates. The whole idea here is that we cannot open until the governor has given us the say so, and as of Monday, he has started giving some guidance on when those openings can begin. So when I originally made this, the idea was this is all contingent on the state relaxing restrictions. And as we now know, June 15th, we'll be able to do outdoor dining and limited indoor retail. So like I mentioned, the slide's a little out of date, but the idea was we were anticipating that, right? So the borough, the MDA chamber, we were all anticipating that move, and this was sort of in response to, that eventuality, and for us to be prepared for it. So the idea here was we would encourage all our businesses to utilize outdoor space to help recoup some of those indoor capacity losses. And to do that, the borough is doing what we can to allow you to expand your capacity outdoors. So there were various constraints in place, but in borough code that limited outdoor dining and retail, so we're temporarily reducing those constraints. We are allowing this to continue until further action is taken by the council. So this is something that will be able to continue until we no longer need it. And the whole idea is that we're trying to be as flexible as we can. We listen to the businesses. Our working group had businesses. We had landlords, as well the MDA and the chamber. So we tried to do as much as we can to be as flexible as we can, so that you can operate as in the space that we're providing. And of course, we need to continue to maintain the 6-foot separation, and that goes. That even comes down from the governor's requirements about safety and sanitation. So a few of the other things, this is not supposed to be about expanding your capacity. You have a certain capacity. We're just trying to let you get to that approved capacity if you can. There are no application fees for this. There's no approval fees. And like I just mentioned, businesses need to abide by the safety and precautionary guidelines that the state is handing down due to COVID. So I'm going to go through fairly quickly what we came up with for options to expand. We were broken down into basically these 4 sections: public sidewalks, public parking areas, public streets, as well as various private spaces around town. So sidewalks. First and foremost, businesses are already allowed to use the public sidewalk in front of their and their premises. We're encouraging them to continue to do that. And for those even retail establishments that maybe haven't done that in the past, we're encouraging them to maybe think about doing that. Once again, maintaining that pedestrian walkway, meeting ADA requirements. But the new piece of this is we're encouraging businesses to work with your neighbors. So in order to sort of give yourself more space on the sidewalk, there is underutilized space in town on sidewalks. Something like the one that comes to mind is the Wells Fargo, the bank. It's a nice, long, wide space that a bank probably wouldn't really need to use. So that's somewhere where some of the bank's neighbors, Mariachi, for instance, may be able to utilize that, given as long as their neighbors are okay with it. Part of this application process is you need to get permission from your neighbors as well as the owner of the buildings that you're allowed to utilize that space that may be going underutilized. We also have the town plaza as an option for people to potentially move into. We have a couple of parking lots in town, especially in the downtown area, that are underutilized as well, right? So people are not traveling to the city as much. We have, people that would have parked there to hop on the train aren't really using it. So these spaces are available and empty. So those lots include the New Street parking lot, which is in this area behind the Main Street businesses and behind New Street. The Station Place parking lot, which is over near Haley's Arcade, will be available. And then we also have a parking lot down on South Main Street that it could be utilized as part of the application. We're not planning on shutting down the parking lots completely, so these will be active lots. And with that, there will need to be certain safety measures, such as jersey barriers and such. All that would be up to the borough administrator, the chief of police, to help make sure that your patrons are going to be safe when they're utilizing these lots. Once again, 6 feet apart, and you would be able to have anchored shade coverings in a parking lot. Another option is something called a parklet. So we have a number of on-street parking spaces in town, medium parking spaces. And one thing that people do all over the world, and this is now coming up even more due to the COVID guidelines, is utilize that parking space, which would normally be used by one car, and turn that into and activate that space for multiple people to either shop, to possibly dine. And the idea here is you would take that medium parking space and you would build out a structure of some sort that would allow it to be utilized in that way. The structure needs to meet safety requirements. The chief of police would need to approve of these parklets. But this is a great idea, a great way to utilize this additional space that we have in town that could be used for your businesses. So it's another option. There may be a little bit more investment, I guess is the right word, in building out something like this, but if done right, it is quite attractive and would be really great for your businesses. So another piece we're doing, so New Street, we're going to be closing down New Street on weekends, starting at 4 p.m. on Fridays through Sunday at 11 p.m. One section of New Street between Main Street and Pearl Street will be shut down to car traffic. This is not the full length of New Street, so if you're not familiar enough, it's really just that one block stretch between Main and Pearl. The parking deck will still be accessible. New Street parking lot will still be accessible from Pearl Street. It's really just that one small stretch of roadway that will be shut down. And the intention here, those sidewalks on New Street are quite narrow, and we wouldn't be able to open up that space enough to have tables and still maintain social distancing. So the thought here was we have this additional space. We could close the street. We could take up the parking spaces that are normally used for cars. We could take up a section of the roadway and really let businesses expand out into the road and have a chance to have more retail and dining opportunities. There will be a part of the safety measures reviewed by chief of police there will be a section in the center of the roadway that will be, number one, open for pedestrians, right? So pedestrians will be able to walk down the middle, but also something that can be accessed in the event of an emergency. So while there will be barricades and barriers up at both sides of New Street near Main and Pearl, police or fire department vehicles will be able to get there in case there's any kind of problems. Here again, there'll be potential use of shade coverings, and the tables and coverings will be allowed to remain in place throughout the weekend. So you wouldn't need to break down every single night and then put it back up on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, for instance. Private space. So a number of our businesses are lucky enough to have some private space that they might be able to utilize, whether that be parking lots, patios, or potentially just open landscape space. So to make that a little bit easier, we're relaxing some of those restrictions that we have in order to let those folks utilize that area. Once again, they'll need to get permission from the landlord if they don't happen to be the owner of the space to utilize it. Same kind of information about shade coverings and the times they'll be open. All right, so this is another one that is already out of date because things are moving so quick. So first off, non-licensed restaurants, so those that would normally be BYOB. Currently, in the current code, folks would not be allowed to consume alcohol out on the sidewalk in the outdoor dining tables. We're temporarily, with our resolution that we passed, we temporarily relaxed that. So now people will be able to utilize BYOB at your tables that are outside. That could be if you're in New Street, it could be at the New Street tables. If you're on a sidewalk, if you're in one of our alleys, that's one of the things I forgot to mention. So we have a number of alleyways in town that are owned by private entities that could be utilized with their permission, such as Imagination Alley. So tables that are in alleys and any of the outdoor spaces, they would be allowed to permit BYOB with our new temporary resolution. For those that are holders of liquor licenses, you need to appeal to New Jersey State ABC. And just today, I believe, the governor announced that the ABC is about to or already has released an application process to permit that to happen. So I looked before this meeting. I didn't see the link yet on the website. I'm sure Isaac and Jackie will be sending that out to those of you that hold liquor licenses once that's made available. But that was something we were hoping would happen. It looks like they did. So it should be just a matter of applying for that at this point. All right, so how to apply to our outdoor dining and retail. So we put together what's hopefully a short application. You know, we cut down as much as we could, but we do need certain information. And we put that up at this website. It's a short URL. You can get to it, bit.ly/Metuchen COVID-19 response. That's going to take you to a Google form. That Google form, Jay will be running through in a minute, but you will need just a few things to note. You will need to have a Google account to utilize the application. And the reason being, we are uploading files within there, and it utilizes the Google ecosystem to upload those files. So you do need a Google account. If you have one, that's great. If you don't, it's very easy to set up, and you could just create a quick Google account. And I will stop sharing. I'll stop talking here and turn it over to Jay Muldoon or Melissa. I'm not sure which one of you will be speaking. I'm sorry about that, folks. And I can show the form.
All right, thanks, Jason. So before we go kind of through the form, just want to add a few things to what Jason had talked about, because we've had, I think we've gotten 16 or 17 applications. And so I wanted to just make a couple points. One is, this is not just for restaurants. This is not just for retailers. We've gotten applications from fitness and exercise businesses, a youth music class business. So this is a program for any business that is interested in taking advantage of utilizing, outdoor space. And as Jason said, the space could be, their sidewalk, it could be the parking lot, the plaza. Melissa Perlstein, the borough administrator, and I, in working some of these applications, we're also considering, where appropriate, maybe utilizing a borough park for some of these other applications. So I think my main point is to let people know that this isn't just for restaurants. It's for restaurants, but if there's a business that's not able to operate because of state restrictions, and they can see a use of using outdoor space, please fill out the application, and we will work with you. I guess, and just a couple of other points, again, based on what the program, as Jason described, but also from our experience, some of the key things to think about relative to the sidewalk space. Maintaining that safe passage for pedestrians is critical and really not negotiable. No business can block or occupy the sidewalk. It's not acceptable to have tables or displays on the sidewalk and expect pedestrians to walk into the street and climb down the curb and then walk around yours. So that's something that we look at extensively, and we have to maintain for safety reasons and for ADA and for good business and safety reasons. We have to keep the passageway free, that people can navigate and move about on the sidewalks. Jason mentioned that utilizing on-street parking spaces is available if a parklet is created, and Jason included some great examples of parklets. The examples shown there are really functional and comfortable and safe. Safety is probably the #1 issue. So if you're contemplating utilizing a parking space, that's going to require that you create a pretty substantial structure, because you have to provide safety. You have to provide a solid separation between oncoming traffic going by you and your customers who might be sitting there. So as he mentioned, it's going to require some money, some investment. But if you're thinking you could put out a barricade or a snow fence or a couple planters and have a parklet, that's not going to fly. So I just want to reiterate that message, that it's going to be something that is substantial, probably more permanent, because if you traveled around the country or to Europe, where this is quite common, they're permanent, they're substantial. So just I don't want anybody to waste their time thinking they can quickly put out a couple planters and they're in business. The police chief has huge safety concerns, rightfully so, and any parklet application will be reviewed by him as well as the borough administrator. So just a couple top of mind things that I know people have asked about. And one last thing about New Street. As the governor announced, outdoor dining will be allowed starting on June 15th, which I think is a Monday. So we're hoping that New Street could start on Friday, June 19th. We have a lot of work to do along with businesses who want to be there, but that's what we're shooting for. Obviously, we'll make announcements and there'll be publicity about that, but hopefully that could be the start of that. And so a couple of things I've heard from people that they think closed New Street is going to be a food court. I have no idea where that concept is coming from, but we are not creating a food court. We're not putting on a fair. This is not a festival. This is not a flea market area. It's one block of New Street that can be used for dining. So if a restaurant wants to use space in New Street, and as in the application, they have to designate where on New Street, how many tables, where the tables be located. And so there will be, for the most part, sort of designated dining areas for various restaurants who have applied and want to be there. So it's not a food court, but that's not to say that a business, you still can request and have space on New Street. And just as an example, this is not an application, I'm just giving you an example. If Cafe Paris wanted to make crepes and have a station there, that could be arranged. If What's the Scoop wanted to have an ice cream cart on New Street, that could be arranged. So that might make it seem like it's a food court, but it's really not. All right. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how we envision New Street being used. I think there's a picture, I think, and Jason, if you flip to the closed street, like we're envisioning that. Okay. That doesn't look like a fair or a festival or a food court. So just wanted to make that point clear. People have been concerned about litter and garbage on New Street as well as on the sidewalk. So obviously any restaurant or business is responsible for garbage removal and litter, pickup. So just as you do that with your business today. But we are working with our Public Works Department. We will have garbage pickup on New Street each probably Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning. So they'll be placing receptacles and picking up garbage. So between the businesses keeping the area clean and Public Works also doing their share, we don't anticipate litter or garbage being an issue there. Okay, so maybe we'll just go to the application. And again, if you're interested in using any outdoor space, this application has to be completed, and it's received by Melissa Pearlstein and myself, and each day we're working these pretty much continuously. So I'm not going to go, we can maybe scroll a little bit, but in the beginning, obvious information, your email, your name, your address, the building owner. So most of this information is straightforward. Then in section 3, application details, this is where it gets a little sketchy. We really need you to fill out on that application details section, just write, you need to give me a written description of what you're planning to do. Okay, so I'm planning to utilize sidewalk space in front of my building and my neighbors. I would like space on New Street. Give me in words, describe to me what you want to do. That's really helpful. And then the next, as it follows through here, if have you reviewed your plan with your property owner and received their approval? Obviously, it's critical that you talk with your landlord if you don't own your building to make the landlord aware of what the plans are. Then clearly you need to maintain the pedestrian walkway for ADA requirements, and you have to comply with all the CDC and state health regulations. So the borough is not implementing or imposing additional safety and health regulations you need to follow in your business, what you do today. So existing health department things and anything that the state will require, such as probably, and the governor said it today, I think tables will need to be 6 feet apart. So those are the regulations that you have to follow. They're not, the borough doesn't make these up. So some people are asking for waivers from the borough on certain things, and we have absolutely no ability, to do something different than what the state health department is requiring. Some questions about your trash receptacles that you're going to have, how many, and how frequently will you be, sort of policing and clearing the area of litter. And then the section 4, the areas you're proposing to use. We've listed kind of the primary things, but there's also a button you can click for other. Okay, and that's where if, as an example, if you're looking to utilize other borough property, maybe it might be a park or something, you would click other. But and you can click, as it says, all that apply. There are, someone may only want to have space on New Street on weekends, and that's fine. You can click that. Someone may want to have New Street on weekends, but also they're going to use their own parking lot, or they want to use sidewalk or right-of-way space. So you can check all that are applicable to you that you want to use. And then here under section 8, this is really, really important. And your applications can't even be looked at unless it has the file. So we want you to put a sketch or diagram that shows, as an example, if you are going to be using sidewalk space, how many tables you're planning to use, and if you're using space adjacent to yours, indicate that on the sketch. If you're planning to use space in New Street, we need to see where you're intending to go, where your tables would go. So the more specific that you can show what you're intending to do, the easier it is for us to review that. You can upload multiple files. You don't have, like, sometimes I'm getting 3 emails from someone because they're uploading one file to in each submission. But you can, I think when you upload a file, it's a question that says, add another, something like that. And so if you have multiple sketches, they can all come in here. The next section, which applies only to restaurants. So if you're not a restaurant, you can skip this. But as Jason mentioned before, in this program, you can't exceed your permitted occupancy, whatever your seating is. So we ask, what's your approved indoor seating occupancy? If you have outdoor seating, how many is that? And then in what you're proposing to do. And this next question, I guess, is not really relevant now because you're still not permitted to have indoor seating, but down the road, there may be a time where the governor permits that. But so if you're thinking about that, how many seats might you have inside? And then how many seats do you propose having outdoor? When you add those two together, it can't exceed what your current approved occupancy is. And I think it states it here, the next one. You may not exceed your approved occupancy count. I think Jason covered the liquor license stuff. We just want to know, if you're a restaurant and you have a liquor license, do you intend to serve liquor outside? Yes or no? And as we heard and the governor said today, the state ABC is going to be issuing a process where the licensed premise can be extended. So if you have a bar or restaurant today, what your footprint or licensed premise is now. If you're going to have tables outside, And I believe, again, I'm not the ABC, and we have to just go with what they say, but it may include a restaurant that may have a liquor license. If they have tables, say on New Street, they may be able to serve alcohol at those tables. But again, it's all the borough. The borough can't change whatever policy the ABC has. So, and then if you're a restaurant that allows BYOB in your premise, the borough has already taken action that will extend that ability to your diners who are sitting outside, whether it's on the sidewalk or in a parking lot or on New Street. If you're allowed BYOB, we're allowing that to be done. But the consumption of the wine or beer must take place at the table. Just as I mentioned, closed New Street's not going to be a food court. It's also not a beer garden. People will not be allowed to be roaming around drinking. The consumption is limited to the tables, just like inside a restaurant. If it's BYOB, you consume your wine or beer at your table. So that's how it's going to work. Some of our restaurants also have what's called a winery outlet showroom license, where they sell bottles of, I think it's certain New Jersey wineries. If you do that in your restaurant, you'll also be able to sell those bottles of wine to your diners at your tables outside. If you're using adjacent properties, yes or no. And then the next thing is you need to show that you have the approval of the businesses and the owner adjacent to those properties. So that's the application. Then there's indemnification. If you're using the sidewalk or a parking lot, or you're on New Street, any borough property or right of way, you need to add Metuchen, Borough of Metuchen, and if it's a parking lot, Metuchen Parking Authority as an additional insured. And it has the, have a limit required of a minimum of $1 million in coverage. And so we'll hear you say, accept that, yes, you'll do that. Before you can go live, you're going to have to, provide the borough with that documentation that actually shows that we've been added as an additional insured. And any restaurant that currently has sidewalk dining, that's an existing requirement. So it's not really new, but it might be new for restaurants and businesses that haven't been using the right of way. And then you certify that you understand what you're doing, you've read the guidelines and all that, and then you just submit the form. And what's been happening is that Melissa and I review it, and then we get in touch with the applicant to review, to understand. I've been out to, I don't know, 6 or 7 locations already. It's it's a kind of it's a simple application, but to make sure that everything is complete and everyone understands what's going on, there's a lot of follow-up. The other thing I think we wanted to share that Melissa will brief you on is another, like it just was announced today, but an opportunity for grants. I don't think we have a visual to show unless.
Jay, I can flip something to Jason if he wants to show it.
Okay, if you can do that.
Can you do that, Jason?
Yeah, happy to.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Pearlstein. I'm the Borough Administrator. And I wanted to let you all know that there is a grant coming from, I mentioned it a little bit on a prior call to the people that were involved with developing the application. I sent this to both Isaac and to Tyreen to push out to their members regarding small business grant program that's being managed by Middlesex County, but it comes through HUD, and it's called a program entitled Community Development Block Grant. What it's going to enable you to do is grants are going to be considered. They're going to grant up money up to $30,000, but that depends, I guess, on how many people ask. There's a pot of money that's $1,062,000 that they have to play with. And the criteria for this, and it's just for businesses in Middlesex County, and it excludes Edison, New Brunswick, Old Bridge, Perth Amboy, Sayreville, and Woodbridge, because they receive their own CDBG money. That independently, the application opens June 3rd and it goes until June 17th. And hold on for 1 minute. I'm going to pull up, I'm going to get you the announcement that was sent by Kimberly Burnett. It's all running through the county. They'll be the ones who are approving it, but the highlights of it, and it's in this documentation, are Jason, I'm forwarding it to you right now. You just want to scroll, you're going to have to scroll up a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Or scroll down.
Isaac gave me a link here. Is this the one?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. But the highlight of it is that it's independent or family-owned businesses with no more than 10 employees. The businesses obviously were negatively impacted by COVID-19. Businesses with a net annual business income of less than $100,000 based on their last federal tax return. Again, the exclusion are business, the bigger communities. So it's a smaller pool of communities vying for the money, and businesses that employ and will retain or will hire low to moderate income persons for jobs that don't require specialized training or education beyond a high school diploma. Okay, the portal, they're working on right now a tutorial on how to apply, which is up, Jason shared with the link, and it goes live as of today, I do believe, and it'll stay open till June 17th. And I highly encourage everyone to apply. Because it is federal monies, there will be some specific documentation that they will require. But it's definitely, they recognize that a lot of businesses could not take advantage of PPP. And this is to help those businesses that were unable to take advantage of that. And no worries, the application stays open until June 17th. It's not on a first come, first serve basis. All applicants will be reviewed. And that's all I have. So this is a nice supplement, especially if you're putting out monies for COVID right now to do some of the outdoor dining, whatever expenses, or just in general because your business has been shut down. But it's a nice supplement. So I hope everybody who can take advantage of this does.
Terrific. Thanks so much for that, Melissa. And by the way, welcome on board. Great to have you there. Sure is an interesting way to get to know folks during a crisis. Isaac here again with MDA. We also have a link to the EDA grant application. This one is going to be time limited and it goes live June 9th at 9 a.m. Some businesses already applied and got funds through this. Actually, I just checked today, 19 Metuchen businesses received $61,000 out of the first 5 million. There's an additional 45 million that's available now. So we need everyone on this call's help to get the word out to other businesses. They need to prepare and be ready to submit their applications on June 9th at 9. There's no NAICS code restrictions this time. The FAQ, it's at this link, and we'll be sure to follow up and send that out on our e-blast. With that, if I could just take a moment, and I don't know if Eric's on the line. I actually talked about him saying some words at the beginning, which I forgot about. I don't know if he'd like to say some words now. And also right after that, we'll open it up to some quick questions. I see Eric just unmuted.
Thanks, Isaac. And I just wanted to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Borough. This is a wonderful program. I'm hoping that a lot of people take advantage. I'm very encouraged by the fact that 15 already have applied. Hopefully we'll get almost all the businesses. One thing that we may want to keep in mind, and some of the businesses are already looking towards, is that while there's a 6-foot requirement anticipated, there are no actual rules out. there may be a way to move tables closer together if there are dividers in between. That's not an approved thing, but that's something that some of the businesses anticipate may happen, and that may let us get some more tables in closer together. And again, as Jay said, this is not just for restaurants, this is also for retail businesses and for others, including, as he said, karate schools, dance schools. Hopefully we'll have everybody outside. I think it'll bring up the spirits of the borough after such a long time indoors and a cold winter. And so hopefully we'll all move forward together. Thank you.
All right, Eric, thanks for that. So I'm going to put the people on the phone. I'm taking off mute right now. If there's any questions, you can put them in chat. We can also, in an orderly way, just try to work through the folks who are now unmuted. If you're on video, you can also unmute yourself too. So any questions? All right.
I actually do have a question.
Okay, who's this? I'm sorry.
My name is Daniela, and I'm calling in behalf of Fresh Coast.
Great, thanks, Daniela.
No, thank you. So, all right, let's see. What about, well, I actually have like a ton of questions. So the first one was, you gave us a link. It was bit.ly.com/COVID, Metuchen COVID-19 response. I couldn't find that.
Okay.
Is there like a certain way, like, is there like any dashes in there or?
Yeah, so it would be bit.ly, not bit.ly.com,
Okay.
bit.ly
Okay.
/Metuchen COVID-19.
Bit.ly. Oh, okay, cool. All right.
And that's just going to forward onto a Google Doc, and then it's also on the Metuchen Downtown Alliance website. It's on the Chamber website, and on the borough website too, actually.
All right, cool. So I also want to know, what about like the restroom? Like, when we have people, when we do open up, are people going to be allowed to use the bathroom? Is it rude to say, hey, this is like for customers only? Our team members will be cleaning that. So, we don't want to like expose them to, just like everything like that.
So this is Jay. I guess we need to understand where you would plan to have outdoor dining.
So we're actually located, we're going to open up at 31 New Street. So yeah, I mean, our restaurant is like just right there on New Street.
On the plaza, Jay, the old Dean's.
That's the new, okay. Oh, great. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're,
how
okay.
is that going to work? When people have to use the bathroom?
Well, I would think, so the bathroom should be used by your customers. So if you have customers seated outside at your tables, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they need to use your bathroom, they can use your bathroom, but I don't think your bathroom needs to be open to the general public. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just don't want to be like rude and like, but I mean, yeah.
No,
I'm trying to have our members clean up,
Right.
All right. So yeah, so all the grants are available on your website?
We'll also be following up with some e-blasts. Daniela, if you could do me a favor, why don't we follow up after this call and make sure you get all your information to me. Just look up the Downtown Alliance and give me a call at our office number.
Okay, you got it.
And as far as the information about from the state, which again should be out today, that guidance from the state Department of Health about distances between tables and your wait staff and like all that stuff's going to be provided by the state, not by the borough, not by the MDA, not by the chamber. That, and there's not going to be a Metuchen version of safety or health. So, and to Eric's point, he might not be correct about if you have a partition between tables, meaning you can be closer. Be nice if the state permits that, but if they don't, Metuchen can't permit that. So, you know, our program has been laid out, as you've seen. We're enabling businesses to utilize outdoor space, but in total compliance with state and CDC regulations. There's no waiver, there's no lessening, there's no Metuchen light version of those things. I just need people to really understand that this is not, we aren't setting the rules for health and safety. And the
All
MDA
right.
isn't, no one else is, so.
Got it. So I see two other callers on still. Business owner, anyone else with any questions? Barry, I see. Cynthia.
Hi, it's
You'll have-
Nicole.
Oh, hey, Nicole.
Hey, so I have a question with the plaza. Is that considered Metuchen, or is there another business, somebody else that owns it? And how could we get space there?
The plaza is owned by the borough of Metuchen.
So
Okay,
if I wanted to get a table there, I just have to apply it through here like I would for New Street or something like that?
correct.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So unless anyone speaks up, I think that's it. So just a special thank you to the borough, to all our partners that came together on this, all the volunteers that contributed, but most importantly to the businesses. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone who is part of this. We have one agenda right now, which is to help as many businesses pull through this and come out on the other side together. So with that, thanks again. And any questions, feel free to follow up. And I know we're all happy to be here and help you. Take care.
Bye, thank you.
You got it.